The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join host Trevor Current and Joseph Christina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 182. I'm Joseph Christina here with my co-host Trevor Current. On last week's show, we talked about the new Canon 4K video camera, Google Black Flag's non-mobile friendly websites, and Apple working on a 3-sensor camera. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at digitalphotographycafe.com and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/dphotocafe. Listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox music apps, or subscribe through iTunes or RSS.
Joe, we are back. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Tired, a little bit of traveling, a little bit of kids for the holidays, a little bit of a lot, and a lot of work. So it's good. It's good. I like being busy in comparison to being slow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always
How about
better.
you? How's everything over there?
Yeah, everything's good. Yep, we had a good Easter Sunday, nice little break, and the kids are now off for their spring break for like 10 days.
Nice. That's good for you.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a lot, but it's all good. They're spending some time with the grandparents this week, so they love that. Grandparents love it. Everybody's good.
Yeah. So all right, so let's bolt through some things this week. We have the I guess the foe of Apple, Samsung, right? We know how much Apple enjoys Samsung and how they enjoy each other's company, and the billions go one way or another way with lawsuits. But now, as far as we're understanding here, the new iPhone with the the A9 chipset might be coming from Samsung. Which is kind of
I know.
odd,
It's
right?
kind of funny. I mean, I'd like to say that they have a love-hate relationship, but I really don't think it's that. I think it's a hate-hate relationship.
I think it's just hate. Yeah.
I think they do business together because they have to. And so the rumor has it that Samsung got the new contract for the A9 chip that's going to be used in the next model of the iPhone. Right. The previous chip maker was the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. I guess Samsung and TSM are like the biggest chip manufacturers in the world. So it's kind of been a back and forth thing.
Exactly, they are it when it comes to semiconductors, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I just find it fascinating when you see these two monstrosities, these huge gorillas fighting it out, and then they're like, "Oh, do you want to play again?"
Yeah.
Want
to share this banana?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is that? I don't even know, but that's good. I mean, it's good for us being the consumer, anyways. That means that it could possibly lower price. We're going to benefit also by quicker. As far as rollout times and a lot of other things.
Well, absolutely. It does definitely benefit Samsung, not just from a financial standpoint, but if they ramp up production on this chip for Apple's demand, it also allows them to repurpose this, hardware, let's say, into their own products for a more cost-effective price. So it definitely benefits them in more ways than one.
Exactly. S7, S8, whatever they're going to come up with, as well as the notes and all the rest of it. So very interesting. We'll see what ends up going on with that. So moving on, Microsoft. Now, this is interesting. I like this little piece, and it's about an app called Lens, right? And I kind of find this interesting. Just think about this, guys, as an application that you put on your phone. Now, this has been done before, but just think about this. You put it onto your phone, you take a picture of something, and it does all of the back end twisting and turning and pulling to make it look absolutely perfect if it's a document or a photo. So you can shoot something at an angle, it'll go and kind of mesh it together and kind of pull it and push it. What's really good about this is you can do whiteboards, and that's something that we're interested in, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it's basically like a scanner app, let's say, but it does this correction and enhancements for text, which is really great. We were at at this strategy meeting this past week, Joe and I, and there were presentations on flipboards and whiteboards and up on the screen from PowerPoints and stuff. And actually, there were a couple data points that would have been great to capture. But, using a photo, using your camera and capturing it, then you're like zooming in, trying to read it and stuff. It's really not that great of an experience of a copy. Right. But through this app, like shooting a whiteboard, you can pretty much shoot it at any angle you need to, and it will straighten and sharpen and actually convert text to text. So it's almost like OCR software at the same time.
Yeah, so it's three formats. It'll do photo in this manner. It'll do doc and whiteboard is the third.
Right.
But yeah, being able to take a picture of a whiteboard at an angle and all of a sudden it twists it and puts it perfectly straight and you can read everything. Everything's perfectly clear. All the gray areas get dumped to white because obviously it's a whiteboard.
Yep.
So it's really interesting. I could see this being almost like the new Neat, the little receipt scanner. So this is great for doing this, but now how about receipts? Because you can take a picture of them at an angle and boom, you have them straight up and down, and they look fantastic. I mean, Neat, is $100, $150, $200 or whatever for that appliance, let's call it. And if you could do this with this, if it does work as they say it does, this could be a major give Neat a run for their money. So I don't know, I like it. It's pretty cool. And what's really great, guys, is the price, and the price is free.
Right? Can't beat the price. And of course, it's available for Windows Phone, but also iOS and Android. So that's really big. I'm definitely gonna go get this and try it out. I'm interested in this.
Yeah. So moving on, Fuji. We do like Fuji a lot, and we did do an article. I think it was someone that converted from, I think it was Canon to Fuji or whatnot. Fuji's they make a really nice camera. I absolutely loved when the whole X, quote unquote, X models came out, when they had that retro look to them. It just looked really neat. And they were like, I think it was APS-C. They looked fantastic. The images were really great. Well, the problem is Trevor and myself were able to go and hold one and go and play with them and whatnot. But for the majority of you guys, you can't. Either you take the plunge and you go pick up Fuji, or you go into your local store, which there's,
fewer.
There's not
further
fewer
between,
and fewer. Just not a lot of these retail establishments anymore. If not, you just have to take plunge. Now Fuji is releasing a new program, right, Trev? That sounds pretty interesting for all of us.
Yeah, this is a pro rental service. So now it gives you the ability to actually go rent the bodies and the lenses that you might want to buy for a very reasonable fee. I mean, I'm looking at some of these numbers. I mean, we're ranging from like $30, maybe up to $60, depending on the lens, depending on the body. But now you can actually rent it from the manufacturer, test it out, compare it to your existing equipment, see how you like it, as opposed to maybe going to like lens rentals or something like that, where they may not have every little piece of equipment. They may not have every Fuji lens. They may not have every Fuji body. Now they've got a nice list of stuff available for renting.
Yeah, absolutely. You have all the bodies pretty much. The XT1, the 100s, the 100S, 100T. You have the new, the E2s. It's just on and on. So they're all there, and then a whole list of lenses. So this looks good. It definitely looks good. It'll give you guys a way to take a look at them and test them, because it's one thing to go to a retail establishment and test something and feel it and look at the picture and pixel peep on the back, but to actually shoot something and directly compare it with the equipment that you currently have in your computer is night and day. I mean, that's really what you want to do when you're comparing things. You need them both in the same, same time, same place, and shooting the exact same thing, so you get an apples to apples type of comparison. So this is great. Thumbs up to Fuji. I like it.
Yeah, really cool. And I think you're going to start seeing more of these manufacturers kind of following suit. We're kind of getting some rumbles in the space of this type of offering. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the industry progresses here, to kind of try before you buy, or in this case, rent before you buy.
Exactly.
So Nikon came out with a new camera this week. It's the Nikon 1 J5, and this is a nice little compact camera. It's a little mirrorless camera. It's kind of got that retro design. It looks like one of the the old 35 millimeter film cameras that we used to play with, right?
Right. Mirrorless, of course. That's the name of the game these days. Everything's mirrorless. It's a 1-inch sensor. It does just about 21 megapixels. It's a BSI CMOS sensor. Yep. So it is the backlit sensor. So it supposedly will give you a little bit more light, a little bit more leeway in dark situations. So it also has on-chip phase detection and whatnot. So it can do up to 20 frames per second continuous, and that's with autofocus, just locking up, bang, bang, bang. This is amazing. Or up to 60 frames per second without the autofocus locking up. So it's really it is interesting. It's just I find it amazing. This is like I think a $400 or $500 camera. It's pretty cheap. Right. I just find it amazing what they push into these things. I mean, you have a rear tilting back that does 180 degrees.
A touch screen too.
Touch screen. It's like selfie on crack, right?
Yeah.
It does Wi-Fi, NFC, video capabilities. You can do 1080p as well as 720p at 60p as well as 120. The only thing I don't like, which is it's good and it's bad, it's kind of interesting. They put 4K into this camera. Remember, $400, 4K.
Yep.
But you're only able to shoot at 15 frames video. So that's okay, though. That's not bad if you use that 4K, as we were talking about in our last show, about I was saying that I think eventually within 2 or 3 years, all photographers are going to be shooting video clips, very short bursts of video, and then going back, like once we're at 8K, let's say, and then going back and just picking the right shot where everyone's eyes are open. Done. You're finished.
Yeah. I could see this being used for that type of thing, pulling stills from it. As far as video goes, I mean, 4K, I would not want to watch 4K video at 15 frames. That would look like junk.
Yeah.
I mean, really high-res junk.
No, absolutely. Well, anyways, guys, we got a lot more for you, but before we go any further, let's go ahead and hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
All right, so we're back, and there's an interesting story coming from Pictage this week. And they are saying that they're basically confirming that the industry is in a decline of print sales, which, obviously we kind of all knew this, but in doing so, they're basically also stating that they're completely restructuring the way their service works and what they're offering to their customers, which I think is going to come as a shock to any of their current customers.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of professionals that have used Pictage in the past. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what Pictage is, it's like a place that you can go and host your images or put all of your images for, let's say, a bride to come and sort through and pick and order prints and whatnot.
Yep.
Almost like an image gallery or a proofing station, let's call it, for the pros to put their things. So, this whole restructuring, supposedly by March 30th, is when this restructuring is supposed to hit. So this is already over. It's over and done a couple of days ago. And what they're doing is they are picking and choosing which images to keep and which ones to get rid of. So just look at it this way, guys. You go and upload, you've been using them for the last 6-7 years, and you've uploaded, let's say 400 or 500 weddings. Out of that, maybe your top 10 weddings, there's still images being bought from them. The other ones that no one has bought from let's say 180 days, 300 days, whatever they are going by.
Whatever their magic number is, yeah.
Right. Whatever algorithm they're going, those are all going to be deleted.
Right.
They're gone. That is so brutal for a professional photographer because, the thing is you want them up online. So then let's say a holiday comes up, and what do? You go send all of your past clients, say, hey, listen, you want a photo? Don't forget, we have these photos of you. We this headshot.
We've got this whole album online. You can
all
check
kinds of
out
stuff.
and order your prints. Yeah.
Right. And now that's all gone. Right.
Yeah.
And the way they have it set up is you cannot receive these images back, let's say on a disk or on a hard drive or any other type of media. You have to download them. And you have like 30 days to do it before they just start evaporating. So it's really pretty harsh, and they're going up on their rate from, I think it was like 1.5% on credit card processing to 2.5. They're getting rid of all phone inquiries. Any kind of phone support is history. It's going to go all to email.
All email.
I have to say, I have to give this. I think it was Mike Grant from Pictage that actually he put out there this non-sugar-coated response that says, listen, print sales are dying, guys. They're dying. And, to say that, I mean, we all know this. This is kind of like this. But to say it just, it gives credence to it. These corporations that are doing it. Now, I know, Trev, we've talked about this a few weeks ago, and I was saying that as the advent of larger and larger megapixel cameras, back when Pictage just started in 2005, they're probably like 6 megapixel images. It's not that bad. Now we're at 20, 30, 40, who knows how many megapixels per image, right? Yep. How do these companies, so what they're having problems with is, besides the print is dying, the problem is it cannot be sustained because of the amount of storage needed that people aren't paying for. Because these people's models, the way they work is they get paid based on a percentage of sales that put through. If there's no sales, they're not getting paid, or they're getting a stipend of maybe, let's say, $100 for an entire year, which doesn't cover all the terabytes of data that they're having to host continuously.
Yeah, well, this is becoming a big problem for all of these online hosts. Whatever company you're using to host your proofing galleries. This is an issue. The storage space, I mean, is cheap, but it's not cheap. I mean, when you start getting up into, gigabytes per account, or, multi-terabytes, petabytes for your entire business, that becomes very expensive. And, SmugMug and Zenfolio and some other companies, I mean, they have different options available. You can either, you pay by the number of photos, or you pay by the total gigabytes used, or such. But, you're going to see a lot of these people changing their models. I know SmugMug, I mean, their hosting packages jumped from like $99 up to annually, up to the $300 annually. Right. So, I mean, that's a huge jump. And they still are pulling a commission from your print sales as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is an issue. And this is something that we've thought about as well, with our new service, the websites for photographers. It's not scalable to basically give that whole unlimited thing anymore, because it's just not possible. It's just not possible. There has to be some type of cap. So I get where they're coming from, but this is a major change in business model, and I think they're going to lose a lot of customers over this, over to their competitors.
I don't know. I hate to be like the naysayer. I don't see them coming back from this. The reason I say that is I know so many pros that have put years, and they've invested years and years and years of client interaction into these people.
Yep.
And to know that that's all gone is really, disheartening. I could see them just saying, you know what, done. I'm finished. I don't care about your model. I don't care what you do. I'm just going to move on to someone else. But what you guys need to remember is, the next guy is going to have the exact same problem. I used a company for many, many years called Exposure Manager. Same type of thing as Pictage or whatever. I'm sure having the exact same issues, just like everyone else. So my advice to all the pros is simply this. Always be wary about putting all your eggs into one basket. And if there's any way that you can possibly host your own proofing station, and then you are in control of it, and maybe send out or opt out to go and have those images printed, but keep control, you're doing yourself a favor, because you don't know when the cloud is going to burst or when there's other issues that just happen. And now what happens is you are directly affected. Your wallet is affected by these people's problems or an industry problem, and that's why we always say your website is the center of your universe. You have to try to keep it things as tight to that center as possible.
The problem with that, though, is that not a lot of people are set up or have the ability to host their own proofing stations. All right, host your own, not necessarily maybe at your own studio, but maybe on your own server.
Exactly.
But trying to, I know we've run our own FTP servers before, internal to our offices, and that works great. And it's fine, but you obviously have limited bandwidth. And when you start sharing a lot of images and stuff, you're going to eat that bandwidth up really quick. And most people are working off more residential / small business type of internet connections that just aren't going to be able to scale to something that's going to get a lot of traffic. So, it's really something difficult to look at. I honestly, folks, I think the days of unlimited storage are pretty much done.
They're getting close, especially in the arena of photo and video, because they understand the impact. How much does YouTube serve in videos? And we know how huge these are, or Vimeo, or any of these folks. So, bandwidth is pretty cheap, but storage, even though it's cheap, it's still not infinite. And the problem is that people thought for so many years that, it's no problem. We can just scale it, We'll virtualize everything.
More hard drives in, and
it just doesn't always happen. So, anyways, moving on. Phase 1, interesting camera, a 80 megapixel medium format digital camera, super lightweight, and it's kind of, just by looking at it, it looks like it's almost modeled after the whole drone industry. Perfect for a drone. I think it's under 2 pounds or something. Really lightweight with the lens.
Yeah. It's very lightweight. It's very small. Basically, it looks like a little black box with a lens stuck on the front of it. But that's kind of what they're gearing it for. They're gearing it for aerial photography, drone photography, drone plane photography.
Right.
The idea, though, this camera is designed to be put more on a controllable head, like a gimbal head.
Like a gimbal, yeah.
One of those gyroscope type heads where they can actually where you control it from the remote. You control the direction of it. Because there is no, this isn't like you're going to mount it to a DJI Phantom and run it up there, because you have to control it somehow. So you'll control it through a USB interface that connects back down with your hand controller. So it is a photo camera. It's not a video camera.
Right. Which is interesting, though.
Yeah.
It's interesting. 80 megapixel photos. You can do some crazy stitches. You can stitch the heck out of some photos at 80 megapixels and do some huge I could see this having some use. Now, they were saying it's let me see what kind of lenses they give here are available. 28, 55, 80, 110, 150, and 240. Now remember, that's like a 28 is probably like a 7. That's just like super ultra wide on a medium format. Which is just crazy. So also you're going to have USB 3 integration. for control as well as storage, GPS, compact flash will be in there. Yep. And of course, as far as output, you'll have RAW, TIFF, and JPEG. So it is interesting. I want to see where they go with it. And more importantly, what is the quality? What does it look like? How is the quality? And what is the price? Because that's really, even if you get a really cheap camera, but if the quality, even though it's medium format, isn't that great, well, that's going to be a huge, huge detriment. But Phase One, they get it right. I mean, they know how to do medium
they're
format.
in the business of high quality optics and medium format cameras. So, yeah, one would think that the quality is going to be really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
no price yet, but it looks like it's going to be available mid-April. So this month.
Yeah, this month. So look out for that. Phase One. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
So moving on, right, Trev?
Yeah, Microsoft announced that their new Surface 3 tablet will be running a full version of Windows.
I know.
I find this interesting. I mean, the previous ones came with that Windows RT, had quite a bit of functionality, but certainly limited. But now it's going to come with 8.1, and you'll be able to do a free upgrade to 10 when that is released. So I find that interesting. I mean, coming from a Mac camp, I don't have Windows. I have one Windows laptop here that I really don't even use. But this would be something that I actually would consider getting, because I like the idea of having a Windows-based machine for testing purposes, testing websites, being able to do things that, obviously I can't do with the Macs. And this is in a nice form factor that is multi-purposable. You have your tablet kind of format as well as slap on a keyboard, and you have like a laptop type of format. So I like it. It's interesting to me.
Yeah, magnesium body, no cooling vents at all, little kickstand that you kick out, and I could see it definitely having some use. They went from the ARM processor to an Intel Atom, which is good, and that's where they're getting their extra power. Upgrading to 10, Windows 10 is great. I think that's cool. What happens, guys, is this will allow you to put on, let's say, Lightroom onto one of these, or Photoshop, or some other, maybe you do audio, need to put Audition on there, or who knows what. But it'll give you that possibility, whereas the RT, it's like, no, that didn't happen. Also, they changed the size of it a little bit. So now you're actually getting, instead of a 1080p type of look, you're actually going up to now from 1920 by 1280. So it's a little bit bigger, let's say.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat. You have a little bit more screen real estate, which is good.
Yeah, it's a 10.8-inch screen.
Exactly.
So it's still, in the iPad size range, but, it's definitely usable for sure.
Right. Front camera is 3.5 megapixels. Back camera is an 8 megapixel. What is good is, unlike the one cable wonder of the new Macs that I was talking about last week, you have USB 3 connector, you have your headphones, you have a micro SD, you have a mini video port, a display port, and other things. So I like that. If you have something really small like that, you don't want a dongle, you don't want some kind of docking station. You want something that you can be mobile, lightweight, and my understanding is this thing will run all day long. So I do like it. I really do. Once again, just like you, I'm in the Apple camp, but this definitely looks interesting. And the price is really nice too. You're looking at $500 to like $600 if you want LTE is where they start at. So it's not very expensive. Obviously, they go up from there. But these will be available May 5th. So basically, like, let's say today, a month from now.
Yeah, a month from now. Yeah, this is really interesting. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one. I want to test it, play with it in the store a little bit, see how responsive it is, see whether it's really worth it. But I like I said, I like the format. Me personally, I would not get the LTE. I really, it's not, for me, it's not worth paying the extra money, because I do have the iPad with the LTE. I can always, create a hotspot and
and not just that,
if necessary.
Tethering isn't a problem anymore. You don't have to root, or jailbreak your device to be able to have that functionality. So I think that's, as long as you have a phone in your pocket these days, you can provide a hotspot for any device pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like it. So it's the Surface 3. We'll see what ends up happening with it. I know Microsoft's going to be doing this huge push for Windows 10.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see what ends up happening with that. I foresee that's going to really do it. They're gonna they needed something for a long time. There's been too much failure, like with Vista and moving on with the 8, and people didn't like, and the whole. It's just been kind of a mess. And I think they're really trying to solidify things. And they're also going into a free model. So instead of you paying continuously, it's going to be a free upgrade. Microsoft has never done that before, and they're figuring it out. They're finally figuring it out. It's like Apple's been doing it forever. It's like, you know what? Maybe you need to do it. Stop trying to make your money on every one of these upgrades to these horrible, it's awful. Do it for free. Keep them on board. Do it for free.
That's right.
So that's what they're doing. So anyways, we need to get out, right, Trev?
Cool. Yeah, let's hit the road. So if people want to connect with you outside of the show, what's the best way for them to reach you?
They can find me on Twitter, and that's at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
Great. And you can connect with me on Twitter. It's at Trevor Current.
So, all right, everyone, we are out of here for yet another week. You can get all the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/182. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/dphotocafe, or call our hotline at 440-345-6707. Once again, that's 440-345-6707, and we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Current and Joseph Christina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/dphotocafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your host.